The devil himself said, I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
She knows that Jesus watches over her. He helped save her life. In response, Jeffrey Epstein says, you should dress up as him when you see her.
So we see this darkness. It involves leaders in academia, in science, in industry, in politics.
And another crazy detail is Lawrence Krauss, the atheist debater that had a debate with Mike Jones, was trying to get Joe Rogan to come to Epstein's island. I wonder why.
And this is Lawrence Krauss trying to get him to meet up with Joe, man.
I'm in the files for not going, because Jeffrey Epstein was trying to meet with me.
It's hard to come up with the language to express what we're observing in the world other than the language of theology.
I hadn't seen any real evidence for it until these files. And now I'm like, oh, this is demonic. This is clearly demonic.
To people who have been on the train of world's run by satanic pedophiles and like that, well, now you're seeing some of it.
The question is not good or bad. The question is what's natural.
If you got any kids around, get them out of the room. Subject matter, be advised.
Weinstein's decades-long chain of alleged harassment was a dirty Hollywood secret.
I can tell you that the #1 problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be pedophilia.
Nobody talks about pedophilia.
It's the big secret.
And it's widespread?
Oh, yeah. I was surrounded by them.
They would pull away the better-looking younger kids and keep them for their own after-party, and it would turn into a pool party. And then they'd have their rules. Oh, there's no swimsuits on in the pool.
In a new interview with the Sunday Times, the former child star alleges that pedophilia has been a real issue in Hollywood. He tells the publication, quote, there are a lot of vipers in this industry, people who only have their own interests in mind. What bums me about these situations is that the victims can't speak as loudly as the people in power.
Not only is it Hollywood, it's the music industry. Everyone's heard of P. Diddy by now. The names coming out, Jay-Z, all of these famous people are coming out as full-blown sexual deviants.
Jay-Z, Diddy, and others. Primarily Jay-Z. Jay-Z is my top one. I was asked why don't I like Jay-Z, and on my list was the fact that when I was 16, I heard him put out a song, or I guess the song was already out, I don't know, saying 666, unalive Jesus, like what? After that, he called himself Ove, a disrespect to Jehovah. He then opened a museum about himself, mimicking the pages of the Bible, then created a movie disrespecting Jesus again, like he's like Jesus' biggest hater. Okay, he's been demonic since forever. Made a movie about Jesus being a magician and not really the Son of God, and I can go on.
And they all want to say it's a joke. They all want to say they're just playing games. They all want to dress up like Satan and devils and demons, and in their music talking about selling their soul, and it's all that predictive programming. It's like what the guy said on the Joe Rogan Experience, right? You got to tell people what you're doing, and then people are going to just want to hide from it, right? You got to still tell you. You can make a joke about it and a mockery about it, but you still got to tell them. And here they're always telling us, right? They're never just dressing up like normal people. They're always doing things like red demons and Baphomet and all of these ancient Babylonian gods and demons. This is what they love to cosplay as. Personally, I don't have too many people in my life that cosplay as demons. So I wonder what's happening in our world, or our world leaders like Epstein, right, that are in control of our world leaders, are openly talking about Satan, mocking Christ, right? Calling him the carpenter and not wanting to speak about him. And the people that are there always on the screens in front of us for all of us to recognize and to follow their behavior and what they say to us, right? Taylor Swift, how many little kids idolize her and look up to her, right? Lil Nas X came out as just like a friendly neighborhood cowboy singer. And then he's given the devil lap dances. Little Uzi Vert, Doja Cat, Rihanna, Sam Smith, all of these people that we're looking at like, oh wow, they make really good music. I listen to all of them time, very influential. They're all always seeming to worship the devil. I wonder why. Is it just a coincidence? Is it just an artistic flair, right? Like all of the PDF files that were on Epstein's island, like all the art that they have is always like children in like bondage and getting spanked and like naked children. And this is just modern art. This is just their taste. If you don't like it and it makes you uncomfortable, you are the problem.
He was also implicated after being present during an abduction of a victim, where the victim was assaulted by Harvey Weinstein while Jay-Z watched it happen. The account says later awoke in the presence of Harvey Weinstein and Sean Carter, Jay-Z, while Weinstein had inserted his fingers into the victim. After this point in the account, the document describes the individual regaining consciousness in a room with multiple high-profile figures present.
I was 14 and he put that song out about unaliving Jesus like he's been demonic.
And this is another beautiful example of satanic worship right in front of your face, right? Do what thou wilt, from Aleister Crowley, right? And this is the satanic Bible, right? What's the one commandment for Satanists, right? Do your will. Do whatever you want, whatever makes you happy, right? When you see Jay-Z wearing this sweater, imagine, Epstein wearing the sweater. Imagine all of those Harvey Weinstein's wearing this sweater. All those people that are implicated on all of these charges for abusing children, right? And having satanic rituals. Do what you want. That is the basis of their morality, right? When we have the atheist that was inviting Joe Rogan over to the island, and Joe Rogan had enough sense and conscience to be like, hey, well, I'm not going to come, bro. What are you smoking, right? He says it's whatever's natural. And what's more natural than doing what you want, doing what you feel, right? There is no objective morality. There is no God above us that's telling us, this is wrong and this is right. It's all for us to know for ourselves and for us to feel naturally. If you feel attracted to minors, that's just what you're naturally feeling. So why deny yourself, right? Do what thy wilt, not do thy will, right? Christians say, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Not my will, but your will. We submit our will to God and come under his authority and do as he commands us. But these people are their own gods and they worship the devil. And that's why they do things like this, right in front of the media, right in front of the public's face. And they say, it's just artistic flair. It's just our own little swagger. No, sir, you're a coward. Come out. Well, they already do come out and say it, but you got to be wise enough and have enough discernment to see that these people are Satanists, bro. They worship themselves, they worship demons, and they sacrifice children and they abuse children. This is what these people do. This is what the Epstein files are showing us. And people, like me and like you, before this files were dropped, that still saw everything happening, were like, yo, this is what's happening. And they're like, you're crazy. You really think our leaders are going to a private, mysterious island with billionaires and global leaders and famous people and scientists, and they're abusing children and blackmailing each other and filming everything? And that's crazy. You conspiracy theorists, even though the CIA made the term conspiracy theorists to make people that know the truth seem crazy. But let's continue with the video. Even Cat Williams was talking about this a year ago.
There are spiritual things going on in the world. There are things that are bigger than just coincidence. And a ritual is something that you do over and over and over again a certain way.
And recently, Roseanne Barr came out with Tucker Carlson and was talking about this. Listen to what she says and what this...
And they're just trying to protect themselves, because when that list comes out and all the other stuff is declassed, it's going to be like worse than the emperor naked. It's going to be the emperor went to Epstein Island and ate people. And they do that. Babies, that is not... It's true.
So it's not just the dogs and the cats, not just the pets.
It's not just the dogs and the cats. They're full-on vampires. And everybody still thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy. They're full-on vampires. They love the taste of human flesh and they drink human blood. They do, Tucker. Stop staring at me like that.
You're freaking me out, man. Because you spent your life in the entertainment business, so I think you have some authority on this.
Please wake up, even those who are pretending to be asleep, with the irrefutable truth of what the worst people on this planet are really up to. They are really up to that.
And listen to the response of this dude, if you can call him that, at the time that this dropped, right? Before the files came out, listen to what people would love to say to people like Rosie O'Donnell.
Bro, take your medicine. Look, I don't know how many of you guys have experience with this, but it's a very, very common thing. Somebody who has a severe psychological issue, like severe bipolar disorder or paranoid schizophrenia, one of the really bad ones, usually they really hate taking their medicine because they say it takes away the thing that makes them feel special.
Right? When she would talk about the Epstein files and people performing cannibalism and satanic rituals and abusing children and satanic ritual abuse that we'll get into later on in the video. Stay tuned. And they love to use psychology to just frame you as a crazy person. You're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy. Never really ever calling you a liar and dealing with the evidence and the proofs that we have coming out, right? A lot of girls were coming out and blowing the whistle about Epstein before he was ever caught, right? When he was caught, and then it's a whole nother rabbit hole to go into Epstein, but let's continue. Now let's hear somebody else talk about this momentum and how it's changing in the culture live on what the guy just said previously to what people are saying now and what the energy is and the vibe is in 2026.
If there was ever a time where people could step back and say, you know, even some of the people who didn't have any real evidence to point to, but who were making what we would have termed crazy claims, even 2 years ago, but let alone 9-10 years ago. Even if they didn't have real evidence and it was just like a great guess, I don't care. I have to look at them and I have to say, hey, if I shut down X, Y, or Z, I'm just, you know, there's a laundry list here, so I'd be listening to them all day. If I shut down this, or that in the past, I can't even say yet that you're right, but now I can't say you're wrong. So my apologies. Seriously, like a lot of people out there, especially those of you listening who are extremely, if you view yourself as like a level-headed, you know, kind of let's just see what the facts are here person, like you got to give that to people who have been on the train of like, you know, world's run by satanic pedophiles and like that. Like, well, now you're seeing some of it. Now you're seeing that this like supra government involves people who may or may not be into those kinds of things. Emphasis on may. Emphasis on R, actually.
We're not going to go into every single story on the Epstein files because we'd be here forever, but this is just a taste of what's on it and how disturbing it is and how disturbing it is. Viewers' discretion is advised.
In order to make the point of this video clear.
We have this woman who sends a photo of her baby to Epstein and says, your generosity has no limits, after receiving an unbelievable sum in her bank account and that she's never seen such a number in her bank account. Harvard professor Martin Nowick emailed Ghislaine in 2002 to thank her for her hospitality and out of nowhere said, I'm so happy I didn't kill anybody, referring to their visit. I'm glad you didn't either, but why was that ever on the table, right?
The first shocking piece of evidence is the name of Epstein's bank account, which goes by the name Baal, the demon that the Bible mentions that demanded human sacrifice. The document states, please wire $11,438 from the above account to Baal, name Wachovia Bank, N.A. A very weird title to call your bank account, but given the fact that these are child monsters and children were sacrificed to this demon, it makes sense. The next document shows that Epstein was receiving torture videos from a redacted contact. Where are you? Are you okay? I loved the torture video. Just in that document alone raises so many concerning questions. Prince Andrew also tortured a victim and proceeded to have the victim unalived right after, with even photo evidence of the night that it happened. The document says, back in the 90s, Ghislaine Maxwell recruited a girl for a modeling career. Instead of modeling, she was sold as a slave for sex and torture. Prince Andrew was an accessory to her death as he her and me to force her murder.
Nicki Minaj posted, just as the Epstein files were being released, with this tweet: your favorite artists have been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate them and kill them as a form of a blood sacrifice to their god. You see, when their master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood, however the jig is up. People love to disregard this stuff. I think part of it is it's just too painful to hear. And then, of course, if you're an atheist or agnostic, you don't really have a lens to see this from. If you're a Christian who really knows your Bible, you know this is all biblical, this is all laid out.
And that last part of Nicki Minaj's tweet, the jig is up. One of Jay-Z's, nickname is, the Jigga Man. So Jig. So it's referring to him as well in that subliminally. And Joe Rogan's had a lot of guests in the last couple of weeks talking about the same subject matter as the people in the previous videos too. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, there's all sorts.
Did you see the thing in the Epstein files?
Oh yeah, like those,
they
those
ordered
Epstein files. In fact, I can't believe that. Like everybody just kind of like, oh, well, okay, and they're moving on with their lives.
Well,
going on in your normal
people are
lives.
waiting for a condensed version that lays out all the facts. It's the people that are like really interested in reading all the emails.
I think the Luciferians cast a spell on the world. And
for real?
Oh, absolutely. It's just like how vampires can't go into a house unless they're invited. They tell you, what's going on ahead of time. It's predictive programming. And once you say it out loud and you put it out there and make fun of it and do a little skit like Stephen Colbert did a little skit on his show where, oh, here's a baby. I'm going to take this baby and I'm going to give it to Moloch. And he goes into like a cloudy red, furnace and hands the baby over. And he's, oh, the baby's going to be fine. And they make a joke about it and the audience laughs. Okay, we're all now conditioned to it. And in fact, mundus vult decipi, ergo decipiatur. It's a long known concept. And so in Latin, mundus vult decipi means the world wants to be deceived. Ergo decipiatur, therefore it is. We want to be deceived. We don't want to believe the horrors that are actually behind the veil.
Well, I think with the Epstein files, people are, because of these emails that have been released, people are just now starting to be aware of the bizarreness of the code and some of the things, like the facts. Like, let's just talk about the sulfuric acid. So this was like right after he was indicted in 2018.
Yeah, I got to get rid of some bodies.
Yeah.
I got
How much did
dissolve up some bodies.
What did it say he ordered? 6 drums of sulfuric acid right away. Are you really worried about your reverse osmosis plant right after you get indicted? I feel like you're going to jail.
It looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck. It's probably a duck.
It's probably a duck. 330 gallons of sulfuric acid.
It says this was the only documented purchase order for it.
Well, I just don't think we really knew until we saw those files come out.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, well, there's no denying it now. My position on it is completely shifted. I thought there's probably some really sick people that have an appetite for that, but I hadn't seen any real evidence for it until these files. And now I'm like, oh, this is demonic. This is clearly demonic.
Okay, so thank you for saying that. I'm somebody who was raised a Christian and went to Bible school and that kind of stuff as a kid, and youth groups, and then growing up in Central Coast of California, let's say, veered in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But the experiences that we've encountered over the last half a dozen years, it's hard to come up with a language to express what we're observing in the world other than the language of theology.
There's these references to pizza, a lot of references to pizza that are 100% some kind of a code.
Yeah.
And then it brings you back to Pizzagate.
Yeah.
And which was widely dismissed.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, this is a bunch of kooks. Here it is. She said she felt God's presence next to her when she was in bed. She knows that Jesus watches over her and he helped save her life. And then he writes, whoops. And then in response, Jeffrey Epstein says, you should dress up as him when you see her.
It is dark. So we see this darkness. It involves leaders in academia, in science, in industry, in politics.
Another crazy detail is Lawrence Krauss was trying to get Joe Rogan and Epstein to meet each other. Maybe they're going to have a podcast. Maybe he was going to recruit him. Who knows what that meeting would have been like. But they want influential people, right? They want people that are looked upon by the masses. And Lawrence Krauss was, his job was go recruit Joe. All right, and let's hear what Joe's response was to that.
Yeah, I'm in the files for not going, because Jeffrey Epstein was trying to meet with me.
And this is the email from Krauss to Epstein. It says, sorry about Rogan. So far, he seems more timid than I would have thought.
One of my guests was trying to get me to meet him. I was like, are you high? Like, what the are you talking about?
For what reason would you? What would be...
If I was a guy who was, like, sucking up to the rich and powerful.
Wow. I guess he, misread Joe, thinking he wanted to be on that island, them little children, but no, thank God he did not. God must have a sense of humor, because Lawrence Krauss had a debate with Michael Jones, about what is better for society, right? Christianity or secular humanism. And then what is Lawrence Krauss doing on the weekends? Going to Epstein's island, chilling with his boys. What's Epstein doing? Satanic rituals, pedophilia. Like, this is what secular humanism is, right? They got to keep it under wraps because, everyone's brainwashed by Christianity. They're not going to understand us. And, he literally says, we're going to watch the clip, but, there is no right or wrong. It's literally what feels good, what feels natural to you. Let's listen to it.
A lion takes over a rival pride and kills the cubs of the rival he dethroned and impregnates to secure his own bloodline. Does this mean that it's okay for a stepfather to murder his stepson and that kid's mom in your worldview?
Okay, what he said is a lion takes over a pride and kills the other and takes over. Is it okay in that worldview?
Look, okay,
I hate to do this. I just want to also mention, I got to hold you guys to about 60 seconds.
The question is not good or bad. The question is what's natural.
And imagine hearing that, being one of the victims that have been abused by Epstein and his compadres, right? Him and his friends ritually, satanically abusing you and all the murders that they've done, just hearing like, hey guys, there is no right or wrong. It's what is natural. And what's more natural for a billionaire pedophile to act on his whims?
But like a global satanic religion?
Oh yeah, dude. Have you gone down the satanic ritual abuse rabbit hole? It is so dark. So what I'm referring to specifically are survivors giving survivor testimony on video, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Like, not like one guy came forward and said this, like there are whole support networks for these people. Like there are psychologists that specialize in SRA victims, satanic ritual abuse. And because you have to like treat them in a whole different way than a regular abuse victim, because the level of depravity and disgusting, like literal torture of children, like literal. Think about Jeffrey Epstein's clientele, right? We know that that's real.
You think Bill Clinton wanted to pay to watch it?
No. Okay. I'm just saying, like, think this through as a thought experiment.
Okay.
If you have everything in the world and like lust and power, like addictions, anyone who's ever experienced any form of addiction, whether it's like to alcohol or to Adderall or to like porn or heroin, all those addictions kind of play on this sort of like this feeling, this like desire of like, oh, it just felt so good. And like whatever else is wrong in the world, like that's not wrong. And that's good. That's, and they all kind of play on these same things. And powerful people, power, money, that lust for power, when turned towards the lusting and the greed, the darker side of power and money is inevitably an addiction as well in a lot of ways. And not everyone who's powerful and rich goes down that road, but clearly like the Epstein clients do, like clearly they want children, like they want to do, and there are snuff films, like people pay on the internet right now to watch murder, like to watch these kinds of things, because there's inherently a devil in everyone. I think the way I see it is that there's an angel and a devil in all of us, and you can feed the good wolf or the bad wolf, and some people get addicted to feeding the bad wolf. And a lot of times in a capitalist society that incentivizes greed and lust, like it incentivizes a lot of our worst behaviors, that means that a lot of the worst people will rise to the top of that system.
So the way I would end this video is just by saying it boils down to, is morality real, right? Does objective morality exist where there are actually things that are evil and actually things that are good? Or is it everybody's opinion, right? It's like your favorite ice cream. My favorite ice cream is vanilla, yours is chocolate. What Jeffrey Epstein did wasn't really wrong because he was just choosing his favorite flavor of ice cream. Or is it like, no, what he did was actually wrong? and there is no other thing, right? What you actually was doing was wrong. Like, does a person that have diabetes need insulin or vitamin C? There's only one correct answer, right? It's insulin. That is what objective morality is. And then if there's objective morality, then there has to be a lawgiver, right? There's a law, right? Morality. If it's real, if it's not, then you're gonna have to say Jeffrey Epstein was just dancing to the tune of his DNA. Richard Dawkins, right? Alex O'Connor. There is no real objective morality. It may be sucky and it may not feel good, but that's just the harsh reality. These people aren't really wrong, right? They're ethical emotalists, where your emotions is basically what morality is. So if it gives you a nasty feeling, then oh, it's bad. But if it gives you a good feeling, then it's good. So that means when Jeffrey Epstein was getting good feelings by abusing all of those children, then what he was doing was actually good, according to Alex and people that believe, your emotions are morality. But if you believe morality is actually true, and it isn't just based on individuals' whims and their feelings and how they feel, and if they think they're doing the good thing, it's good, then there has to be a moral lawgiver, right? Theism has to be true. There is a lawgiver that's outside of ourselves, and we can go upstream from there and argue for why God exists, and then go into specific reasons on why the God of the Bible exists and why he's the true God, right? And why we believe in it, right? Why we believe in the resurrection of Jesus Christ and all of the evidence and the Shroud of Turin and the eyewitness statements and the apostles going to their death, right? Saying this, right? Dying for this belief. Why would they die for a belief that they knew they made up that was a lie? Right? All of these questions then come into place. So don't just let it end here with just Jeffrey Epstein's a bad guy. Ew. That's not enough, right? We got to elevate and go to a higher place. So God bless you guys and have a good day. God's will be done.